Good evening and welcome to the budget workshop. Today is April the 22nd, 6:30. We have a quorum. I'm going to call on different groups to come up and speak. The board may have questions for you. First one we're going to go with is the Nourish Food Bank. We have a representative from the Nourish Food Bank here, LaDonna Parham. Okay, well, moving on, we're going to go to CrimeStoppers, Mr. Mike Gentry.
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. My name is Mike Gentry. I'm the chairman of Rutherford County CrimeStoppers, and we are requesting $2,500 this year to help with our program. Laverne plays a big part in our Rutherford County plan. Kevin Selensky and Cherie Robinson and Chief Walker endorses our program, and we would like to, we're a 501c3 program. We're not for profit. All of our officers and board members are volunteer people. We do not have any payroll. And Laverne, we get some tips out of Laverne. And we would like for y'all to be part of our plan this year.
How would this money impact your activities here in Laverne?
The money that, all of our money is from municipalities and individual and business supporters. The donations go into a pool of fund, and all of our donations are to pay informants, to pay for tips. There's no misdemeanors, they're all felony convictions. So we pay money for people that are calling us to give us ideas of where convicted, wanted felons, or who have done very different things that got them into that will get them in trouble. And if we get a conviction, then we pay. We pay cash to all our tipsters. So it would go into a pool, and that money would be used to pay. We are going to a new computer program system that's going to be a little bit higher cost. We were on 8 hours, 8 to 5 p.m., and we are now going to a 24-hour program. And we are getting involved with a call center, and this would be a little bit more expense to our organization, and that would probably help fund that. But we are going 24 hours a day, which is going to be a great benefit to our program.
How many of the felon tips do you have coming from Laverne, or felons that impact Laverne?
We have a few. I don't know the exact number, but you know, there's crime all over this county. We do have some tipsters that call in from Smyrna, Laverne area that we're fortunate to make some felony arrests here in town. Now, Chief Walker might be a little more involved in that, would know those numbers, but I know our board members have been down here delivering money. That's for sure.
Anyone have any other questions?
You brought up Chief Walker. Chief, can you elaborate just a little bit?
I can, and another thing I'm going to add to one thing that Mike said. Each year there's an officer recognized by Rutherford County CrimeStoppers, one officer from each agency with specific things that they've done on some pretty difficult cases in many instances. And as far as actual numbers, it goes to CrimeStoppers. I don't have that information because if we solve a case where it comes from a tip, that's kept confidential. And we don't have that information, and there's a reason for that. And it's to secure and protect. So are you asking me as chief or as a citizen and taxpayer?
Well, he said Chief Walker, so I would have to ask you as Chief Walker.
Okay. I would suggest you go ahead and do it. I'm not aware that Laverne has contributed. I don't know if ever or not, but it was a long time ago if they did.
Yeah, that was my question. When's the last time Laverne has contributed to your firm?
I've been chairman for 10 years and they've never been involved.
Have you ever asked?
I'm not
requested?
so sure we knew the process.
Okay.
Well, and I'll interject something there too. Clyde Atkinson, who was a major in Murfreesboro Police Department, was very, very strong advocate of CrimeStoppers and very involved. He contributed even some of his personal time, not just some work time. Clyde was out beating the bushes and drumming up help before, but I don't think he ever came to Laverne and asked.
Okay.
Any more questions?
And as a citizen, how do you feel?
I vote aye.
All right. That's good for me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Thank you, Mayor.
Moving on, Laverne Boxing.
Morning, Mayor, Alderman. I'm Kevin Stalinsky. I'm the treasurer of the FOP. I handle the financial side of the boxing program. We are requesting an increase this year, and that is due to our increase in rent on our building. As we know, the city is growing. Buildings are becoming more and more scarce for assistance. Our landlord at this point is charging us $12,000 a year for the rent. Other quotes we have gotten, the next lowest quote in contrast was $25,000 a year. So we are able to stay where we are at till January. With everybody else, we've seen an increase in electric prices, gas prices, just equipment for our kids. Everything's going up. We're just asking for a little bit more help. Coach here is going to tell you about the day-to-day operations because we can't be there day-to-day, and he is there with the kids every day.
Hey, how y'all doing? Mayor and Alderman. Real quick, I did this last year. I'm gonna do it again this year because it's pretty cool. But could everybody that is with the gym please stand up? So what we have, real quick, I'm gonna ask y'all to sit down in a second, is this is our community. This is who we are, who we represent. A lot of these kids they'll never box or even consider boxing in 2 years from now. But all of these kids right now have a place to come to and a place to call home and a place to call theirs and someone that loves them, which is me, and who will take care of them and beat them up at the same time. Y'all can sit down. So, yes, it is a free program for the youth, and we do our best to keep these kids' attention, keep them active, and keep them busy, and keep them growing. And this isn't even the competitive side of the guys. We have guys that travel all over the country to compete in boxing. One kid, he's ranked in the top 10. He's ranked number 2 in the country in his age and weight. Is Ronnie Edmonds right here. Could you stand up, Ronnie? And yeah, so we would like to thank you guys for all y'all do for us, for all y'all do for our community, and we thank y'all. Y'all got any questions?
I do. What kind of fundraisers do you do throughout the year?
We do shows where we'll have a show May 18th at the park, and we charge $10 a month, and we're partnering with the Junior Olympics this year, so I'll be hosting the state Junior Olympics, which will cover Tennessee and Alabama, and we charge $10 a month. We'll do pizza sales where we sell Little Caesars pizza kits, and we get a percentage of that. We do bucket brigades, and this year I plan on doing a car wash in the summer. I say I plan on it because it isn't set in stone yet, but we try to do things like just different ideas that parents come up with if we're able to do it, and if my family is able to make that sacrifice. then we'll get it done.
So talk to me about y'all's activities in the community besides just the boxing.
Okay, so we didn't participate this year on me with the lake cleanup, but we really, what do we do in the community? Could I ask somebody, could I ask Candace? Yeah, because she's gonna be the one. You know it?
Actually, the lake cleanup is coming up, so hopefully we are participating in that, right? It's May the
Yeah.
4th, I think.
You haven't missed it yet.
But
okay,
we missed last year because we had an event. What else do we do?
I'm not gonna create no stories. I think that's all we do. If we could get a list of anything, then I guarantee you that we'll be present and be active. All right.
Oh, we do National Night Out.
Oh, yeah.
We do National Night Out.
So if
Kevin?
we agree to give you this money, I'm assuming from what you're saying that you'll get the kids
More involved in the
more involved, for lack of better words, in the cleanups and
right.
volunteering and things like that.
Yes, sir.
I just, I want to say to this board, as a former president of the basketball league, coaching basketball, football, and baseball for 20 years, everybody's not cut out to box.
Right.
Everybody's not cut out to play baseball or cornhole. Sorry, Mayor, I had to pick at you. I love the idea of getting these kids off the streets. I love that. Whatever it is, getting them off the streets, getting their names out in social media for a good reason as opposed to a bad reason. So I think what you're doing is awesome.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have more of a comment. I'd like to add to what Alderman Noe was saying. I've personally been by the gym, and it's a unique group. You take the gym in consideration, and I've heard people in the community, you know, that's the troubled kids, or that's the kids to keep them off the streets, or that's the kids that they have no place to go. Some of that is true from what I've learned, but I've also learned by watching what they do there, and they have a mentor program. They have students that make straight A's with Laverne High School, and they volunteer their time. They come and they mentor these kids. They help them with their homework. They help them with a lot of different things. So Robert and his staff are all volunteers. That's correct, right?
Right.
Not speaking for you, just on information on my notes. And they're teaching kids more than boxing. They're teaching them, they're taking children that may or may not have a future, and they're teaching them not to give up. And personally, if anyone knows sitting on this board about getting in trouble and acting a fool, it's me. And this program, I think they touch more than lives in Laverne. There's children that come from Antioch. There's children that come from Murfreesboro. There's children that come from Smyrna. And, you know, you open up the doors, it's black, white, yellow. I mean, it's a family. And they all respect this, their leader. They respect each other. And for what they're requesting is minimum of what they need. I think you need a lot more. And you know you need a lot more. You're very humble in your request. And I think the community ought to see that too. They're not trying to get a lot of money. They're just trying to survive. And with FOP, these guys there's not a lot of money there either. And they've somehow they pull it off every year. So I hope the board considers that as we add to the budget. Thank you.
Thank
If
you.
you don't mind, could I say something real quick? They have helped Box
Yes,
100
I
a
was
time
gonna
or
say
two.
that.
And I have seen these lovely people open their doors for the community. When they couldn't use the multi-purpose building, they used their building for Zumba.
Yes.
They also helped a lot of us come together and raise some Thanksgiving meals for some of the members of my community.
Thank
So
you.
they do a little bit more in the community than
Yes.
they're willing to tell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to hop back over to Nourish Food Bank. I was told that LaDonna Parham is here.
I am so sorry that I was late getting here. So I'm not sure if you start with questions or if you just want me to tell you a little bit about the program.
Go ahead and tell us about your program.
Okay. Nourish Food Bank, which used to be the Smyrna Laverne Food Bank. We just kind of started doing more programming on a broader scope, and that's really what led to the rebranding, but this is still our home and our roots. We provide over 300,000 meals in this community each year. We are open 5 days a week and provide Saturday opportunities for folks to come and get food, people who are low income and having a food crisis situation. When they come to us, they get a week's worth of food, breakfast, lunch, dinner, even snacks. We try and fill their cart based on their family's needs to the fullest extent possible. So everybody kind of gets a base level, and then we build up from there based on what we learn about their family through our interaction with them. If there's somebody who's diabetic, if they have infants and need formula or cereal or diapers, those kinds of things, personal hygiene items, we try and build from there. When I mention those, it's actually 304,000 meals. That does not include additional program components that we do. That's just through our direct service sites with our families. But we also do things like work with the Motlow Community College on having food available for their campuses. We provide 500 backpack kits each month that go home with homeless youth over the weekend so that they have something to eat when they're not being able to access the free and reduced breakfast and lunch at school. We provide food. In the last 3 months, we've given over 50,000 pounds to partner organizations that feed people in different ways, like the domestic violence shelter, homeless shelters, that kind of thing, so that we can touch lives across the community. In Laverne alone, we did over 45,000 meals this last year. And one of our target schools for our backpack program is Laverne High School. So we really try and keep a strong base in this community because we're the food bank that's open 5 days a week and no Saturdays. It provides an opportunity for folks with different schedules to come and access us. We know, we're only providing 1 week's worth of food, so we know we're not the only source for them for food. So we really try and partner with other organizations and be supportive of other organizations that are feeding them in different ways so that we can kind of create a comprehensive network of support for them. And that's what we're doing through our direct service piece. But then through our partnerships, in addition to providing that food, we have brought organizations in to work with us. So for example, community helpers, they are based on site with us at one of our facilities, as is Indoor Athletics, which takes meals to kids that are living in area hotels. And so they're able to use food from our warehouse, prepare it in our kitchen, and then take it to the kids that are living in local hotels. And then as they're working with those families in the hotels that are ready to move to a more stable housing situation, rental properties, they can work with community helpers on site to get that support for deposit and rent assistance so they can move their family towards sustainability. So all of our partnerships are designed to provide critical services now at that route, and then to help identify what their barriers are to success to try and move them out of needing our services. So that's just kind of a real quick overview to throw at you.
Anyone have any questions?
Where are you located at?
We have 3 sites. So we have a site on Richardson Street in Smyrna. We have a site on Bridge Avenue in Murfreesboro, and those are direct service sites. And then we have this hub facility that's also in Murfreesboro on the Smyrna line, where we have those agencies co-located with us. We have 5 programs there. providing services on site, plus an incubator program for newer nonprofits to help them get established in serving the community so that they can be more effective. And then we have our distribution hub there. So restaurants, farmers, truck drivers who have undeliverable loads that maybe are trying to deliver 6 pallets of peaches to Walmart and one corner is crushed. And so Walmart says, no, we're not taking that. Previously, that food would have been destroyed or discarded because they would have to move on. But now we have a facility large enough and with dock access that they can get to us. So we can take that food in and then give that out for free to our partner agencies.
Ma'am, what was your name again?
I'm LaDonna Parham. Sorry, I probably should have started with that.
No, the mayor said it. I just didn't catch it. I apologize. And so you have 2 locations in Murfreesboro, one in Smyrna.
Mm-hmm.
Do you plan to open up something in Laverne?
If funding allows for that, we would love to. Our primary issue right now is people want to fund the food, which is spectacular, and we need that. But nobody really wants to fund the overhead. Nobody wants to fund the building. Nobody wants to keep the lights on, and nobody wants to staff it because it's just hard to make that correlation for people's minds. You can get, okay, you need this can of green beans, but you can't get, not you, but like theoretically, you can't get that, well, if we don't have the power to the tune of $36,000 a year almost, then we can't keep all of those freezers and coolers going to keep that food safe. And so we are working on our development plan for that piece, for those operating costs, moving away from just strictly the food purchases so that we can either open up a site, which is our strategic plan model, is opening satellite sites in smaller communities, particularly where transportation is a huge issue, where we have a heavy senior disabled population, or in our rural areas where they just can't get to us, or having a mobile delivery option. So that's where our next set of fundraising is going toward.
And your staff, or do you have a paid staff or volunteer?
We are primarily volunteer across all 3 sites. We only have 7 staff members.
And those are?
We have a mixture of full-time and part-time.
Any other questions?
And the 45,000 meals in Laverne, and that is through the schools?
No, that is not counting our school distribution. Okay. The school distribution, the homeless outreach bags, the Motlow partnerships, all of those things are in addition to the 45. The 45 is just 2 families that come through our doors.
Okay. And your previous statement, was that Laverne families, or was that countywide?
Yeah, so the 45 is just Laverne. Okay. The 304,000 is countywide.
Okay. Wow.
You can tell that we're new on this end, so we got to ask questions.
No,
they
please.
all know, so we have to try to catch up to snuff.
This is my first opportunity to get to come and share with you guys, so I'm eager for the opportunity to tell you more about what we do and kind of put a face to the name.
And the 3,500 for previous and the 5,000 for the request now, is that heading in the right direction to get us an establishment in Laverne, in our city?
That is just to try and help offset some of the food increases. Quite frankly, the food donations, we have been so heavily based on like food product donation versus money in to purchase food. And the food product donations, while our community is still very supportive, aren't able to keep up with the growth. So just to give you an example, we had over 80,000 more meals provided this last year than we provided the year before. Like that's the kind of growth that we're dealing with. And so that 5,000 is just looking at food purchases. We would love to have the opportunity to establish a satellite site that could be open the 5 days a week instead of just, a few hours here or there in Laverne, but we would have to have this.
So I read something this week, and it's pertaining to this. They said 4 out of 10 families in Laverne, in the county, are struggling to put food on the table.
Yes.
That's consistent?
Yes. You see a disproportionate impact even within those numbers for our seniors who are taking care of their grandchildren on site. We have a lot of that, and within our veteran community.
And do you have a bilingual staff?
We do not right now.
Okay.
So I know it's not great. They're doing a lot of Google Translate.
Okay.
But
it works.
It's what we've got right now. Okay. But yeah, we would love to have that opportunity.
Our Spanish community in Laverne, they don't ask for help. So sometimes we have to
Right.
We have to go to them, so that would really, maybe in the future, you could help with that.
Yes, that would be great. We do have a lot of inter-family support within that community where they'll bring somebody from within their family or support system
Okay.
that translate for them, but it is tough, and we would love to have that for our primary languages.
Great. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's go with Rutherford County Emergency Management Agency Director. Do we have anyone from there? Don't think we do. Bruce, can you just kind of explain that so that everyone knows what that is? I know that that's a unique.
Phyllis might need to help me out, or Chris Clark if he's here, but I believe we entered an agreement several years ago with the county to help fund the director's salary and benefits for the Rutherford County EMA. I think we pay a third of his cost, if I remember correctly.
It's a
Or
percentage.
fourth?
It's a percentage. I'm not sure what all cities share that cost.
Right.
This is our
So
portion.
it-
It should be in that nonprofit packet.
Yeah, it's not so much a nonprofit per se, it just go into a nonprofit agency, essentially, a governmental agency, so.
Well, I said it's a little unique.
And Bruce, how much do we give the county?
I'm sorry?
How much money do we give the county already?
Phyllis would have to answer
In the
that.
millions?
For this specifically?
No,
or-
what do we pay, what do we give Rutherford County? What does Laverne pay into the county?
I mean, we pay them 50% of our sales tax,
Yeah.
sure, for schools. We pay them to do property assessments. We pay them to do personal property assessments. That's all I can think of right now, off the top of my head.
But we're in the millions, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the request for $10,000 to an agency that's already receiving money, because it comes out of the county budget.
Yeah, but, I mean, the most of the money that we're sending them is already designated for other things, like sales tax would be schools.
Which is state mandated.
Yeah.
I know I guess the positions have changed. From what I'm hearing, they're trying to consolidate and not have a director position, so be some sort of emergency operation person over EMS and several things. Is the chief here? Can you maybe explain that?
I was outside. Could you repeat the question?
On the director position, this money specific, it says for the director.
So the emergency management is funded in several different ways. One of them being is something like an SPG grant. It's funded by the municipalities such as that. It's a certain percentage of that salary. That's traditionally how it's always gone. Even though that director is no longer the director, they will be funding that position. So whoever that may be.
So they're going to keep the director, they're not going to consolidate?
As far as I know, that's the word on the street.
All right, thank you.
Moving on, box 100.
We didn't know if y'all had any of this, so I was going to feel what we turned in.
Thank you.
No go. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. I'm Laura Davidson of Box 100. We are honored to come before you tonight and ask for your support of this organization that provides assistance to Laverne's emergency responders, the citizens of this community, and the many department heads. Although we provide the necessary fluids and snacks to our emergency responders for rehab purposes, we have furthered our training to include attending the Citizens Police Academy and the Citizens Fire Academy, so we may assist in the rolling of hoses, refilling of the scuba/air tanks, if you will, in the event of heat-exhausted firemen and women that need extra help. Our members are also currently trained in CPR, ICS, HIPAA, traffic control, CERT, so we may assist in major disaster situations. We're also the extra hands for many citywide community events such as Old Timers Day, Easter egg hunts, 5Ks, Christmas parade, trail of treats, as well as we help with the police and fire applicant and agility testing, DUI checkpoints. We help with the senior center with their dinners, their dances, the events, and a few library events. During tragedies, we provide our citizens with comfort, blankets, food, or beverage, a warm, dry place to sit away from the media until further assistance from outside agencies arrive. We have provided volunteer hours to high school and college students so they may meet their community service requirements. We are very thankful to come before you today, and we look forward to helping for many more years in this community. Any questions for us?
Yes, I have a question. So the 15,000, just going back to the other years.
Yes, sir.
The increase to 25,000, can you explain what the need is?
Really, we need the 25. We were just given 15, and you do what you can with it, and you cut back. And this is Kim, our Kleber, our treasurer, and she has done very well with couponing and saving, if you will, to get us through. Kim, you want to come on up here? I gotta
Stretching
be
the
up
dollar.
here.
Well, we just basically we take it, like we have to purchase the water and the Gatorade and the snacks and the drinks and things like that, and we're constantly having to replenish those. So I try to find the cheapest price, the best place available that I can get to and get it.
I think there's really only one event that we work outside of Laverne. Everything stays here. But if we will put together 12 people to go do the regional track meet, they will donate $300 to us towards water for our emergency responders.
And we also do the kidney walk in Nashville.
I do the kidney walk in honor of Sergeant Davis and my mom. So we do go out there, but we don't put any funds out. They don't give us anything. It's just a little bit of pride there for us.
What other fundraising do y'all do?
We do the cornhole tournament, and I'd like to thank members of the board that have come out and played in that tournament or supported that tournament. And we also do breakfast with Santa. We are thinking possibly in the next year of adding one more, but we don't want to say what that is because somebody might steal our idea. I'm not telling.
So I do want to let the board know that I'm a current member of the Box 100, and I do not receive any funding from them or pay. It's strictly volunteer. I just think the board ought to know that I am an active member.
And we do have currently 27 total members. We have 11 of those members. They don't really want to come out at 2 in the morning when it's raining or snowing. So primarily there's about 16 of us that you will find us out there at 2 in the morning.
I think everybody on this board could talk about Box 100 for days, about the amount of volunteer work that you do. And I was looking at this value to the city at $103,000 at $10 an hour. I think that's very generous. I think you're cutting yourself short on that, but that's just my opinion. I know in many cases you guys have come to the senior citizens, all their events, cleaning up at the green. I mean, just, I could go on and on and on and on. So personally, I just want to thank you because that's huge. And the $10 per hour for the value of the city, and I think Chief Walker and Chief Clark, I forgot your name, Chief. Yeah, I'm getting old.
It's okay.
Will attest to the fact that how important this group is to this city. I don't know in certain events that they could make it through it without them. That's just my personal opinion, and we appreciate it.
We are very appreciative.
As far as questions, I don't really have any. I went out and talked to people about a lot of these different donation things on here. I didn't talk to you about it. I talked to other people. You know, I didn't talk about the other heads of these other donations. I talked to other people, how important they are, and so on and so forth. So I got all my questions answered by talking to other people, other than with your group.
Thank you, sir.
And
Any
Laura,
more?
if you will, explain to the board as well, I'm sure the board knows, but explain to the citizens the amount of training that Box 100 is required to have, that you guys have implemented through your bylaws
Okay.
to be a volunteer, just so the citizens that will be watching this at home can
Correct.
relate to exactly
The
what you.
only required training by the city of Laverne under the MOU that I signed a few years ago is CPR and the Incident Command System classes. And that falls under FEMA. That's 1, 2, 7, and 800. So those are the only required by the city. We, in our own bylaws, took it a step further. Because you're on these emergency scenes and you see and you hear a lot of things that should not ever be repeated, we implemented HIPAA for our people. We also help a lot, if you haven't seen us out in these green shirts doing traffic, we did traffic training under Sergeant Davis with the police department. So we now are completely certified in that, rather than just kind of sticking us out there and, hey, don't let this car go through. I wanted everyone to go through a program. And we also, we're still in the process of getting everyone through it, but I would say probably 75% of this organization has been through the CERT program, which is a community emergency response team. And with that, we learn how to turn off gas. We learn how to search the interior of buildings should there be people trapped in them. And that was taught to us by my assistant chief, Ronnie Mosley, who's with the Nashville Fire Department. Many classes have been taught on that since I have been chief. We try to do it every year. It is a weekend course. We have also gotten trained in fire extinguisher training through the fire department. Thank you, guys. What else am I not thinking of? Because every time I throw something out there, they're like, again. They know we're going to be there a while. I want everyone to be able to respond to pretty much anything at all that could arise in this city that we're going to be called to help with. So while we don't have hazmat training, that potentially may be something we may look forward to in the future.
So I have a comment. It's something, again, I've been reading on. What we're seeing in the emergency field, and I'm sure Chief Clark and Chief Walker can reassure you, is the volunteers, we're starting to see volunteers with PTSD. And because they're around the scenes, and is that something that you guys plan to look into for your staff, or
I can
to relate,
look into that.
or
One
maybe
of the
coordinate
things-
something with the chief
Yes.
of fire, the chief of police, because what we're seeing out on the jobs is you're there, you see the fatalities, you see the worst of the worst, you see you assist SWAT, you probably see things that we never would ever see, and it is real serious. And for some reason, men and women in the emergency field, we don't want to admit how serious it is sometimes.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about it.
So I highly recommend that. That's something in the future that you implement, to just kind of just talk to the staff and maybe have a professional outside of the group touch base. You know, it's kind of like a waitress at a restaurant. You table touch, even though they don't need anything, you still go check on them, because it's pretty serious. And the volunteers have been forgotten in this whole situation. Right. You know, no one's thinking about the guy or the girl bringing you the water or the towel or putting up the fan. It's appreciative and respectfully so, but it stops there. You know, they really haven't reached out to the next level and question, what have you seen? How is it affecting your life? And so
we did have that incident after one very long call. It was an all-day thing.
Yeah.
And so I did reach out to Chief Walker.
That's right.
And I do believe you brought stats with you one night for one of our meetings. We brought pastors, we brought ministers. I believe some people from the county handed out cards. I wanted to make sure that anyone and everyone that they could possibly talk to concerning anything, they had access to.
That's right.
So we haven't revisited that, but I will update that.
And then one question, as I've asked everybody, is your staff completely volunteer?
Yes.
All right,
Who
thank you.
provides your HIPAA training?
The fire department.
Fire department.
Did you all, one question I was gonna ask you personally, and I completely forgot about it, and I just now thought about it. Did you all help back during the census report?
We did.
Was you asked to help, or did you volunteer to help?
We were asked by Mr. Broker.
And how many people from your team did that? And by the way, while I'm on it, Mr. Kyle Brown, I heard that you were one of the biggest door knocking, biggest
Yeah.
door knocker. And I think you and Phyllis. That's what I heard.
I'm the one that had to chase cars down.
I took Phyllis one time, all I did was ride around.
Well, I just happened to think about that, and somebody told me that Kyle and Phyllis was
Did you
one
ever
of
get any
the.
complaints from citizens saying there was a stalker?
No, there was no complaints. It was
Well, I admit, we stalked people. I mean, we did.
working elections sometimes. But you all worked at the census.
Yeah.
Were you compensated anything for that?
No, sir.
No compensation.
No, sir. I would say there was 6+ members here and there. Some of the people went out during the week while others were working, and then the biggest went out on like Saturdays.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Phyllis was all over that, wasn't she?
Hey, I'm not letting Kyle take no credit for that.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's just what I heard.
Rescue Squad, Dana Blair.
Hello, my name's Dana Blair with the Laverne Rescue, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Alderman. How far would you like to go back? We can go back to the very beginning, or we could start a year ago. How long do you want to go back?
As far back as you'd like.
Okay, 1970, 4 citizens of this area, wasn't even a city then, decided to form the Rescue Squad, October of 1970. When that happened, we really didn't have anything, just 4 people and a will to go out and help people. So from that point in time, they started search and rescue, ground search and rescue, boating, draggings, things of that nature. Early 70s, we ended up receiving a donation of an ambulance, and we ended up refurbishing the ambulance, and we ran ambulance service to the area from 1970 to the mid-80s. And when the county was requested to put an ambulance in this area, it was opened up. We opened up our doors to allow the ambulance service to put their unit in our building. So they ran out of our building for 2 or 3 years, and then they later moved it to the KID building, which is now Public Works. During that time, we decided to refocus our ambulance calls because, and we didn't charge anybody for these ambulance calls, not like today. And during that time, we decided to change our focus to rescue because we were still waiting anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes for a rescue truck to come to wrecks, motor vehicle accidents, and assist with getting patients out of the cars. We continued that service up till 2014. We went from a budget with the county and the city of about $90,000 down to 45, down to 25. So, we've used our money, I'm gonna say wisely, because we didn't owe anybody any money because we purchased everything up front. I mean, if we didn't have the money, we didn't buy it. We're still that way today. So, today is why we're asking for $25,000, and this is to assist with insurance, utilities, and just basic building maintenance, upkeep. So we still provide services to the city, like participating with Carry the Load, middle school 5K runs, things of that nature, Old Timers Day Parade, Howl at the Moon. We weren't requested this past year, but we have done that in the past. We've assisted with Christmas parades, things of that nature. Just last weekend, We worked a Easter egg hunt for one of the churches. They asked for an ambulance, and we provided the ambulance for them. And again, this is no cost to the citizens, even if we transport. So, any questions?
Any questions?
What type of training do your personnel have?
We have everything from ICS 1, 2, 3, 700. We do have people trained in CPR, first aid, EMTs, AEMTs, and not all of our people are trained in every one of these. It's pretty much, you know, what their need is. If we've got people that's working a ham breakfast, really don't need them having training as an EMT, okay? So, because they're not going to be working the ambulance all the time, or rarely, okay? So, training of that nature.
Okay, there have been statements made in the past about an incident where your squad was asked to assist with the fire department and/or police department, and the statement was made that y'all don't hand out water. Could you elaborate on that?
Would you repeat the question?
There was a statement that was made that after being asked for your assistance by the fire and/or police department, the statement was made that y'all don't hand out water. I mean, who was that made as a group? Was the statement even made?
That statement may have been made in 2003, after we received a letter, April the 1st of 2003. We had some of our crews going to fire calls, assisting in that nature. 23 days later, we received another letter from the fire department stating, you can no longer come out to these calls because of insurance reasons or liability reasons. So one of the members at that time may have said, we're not going to carry water out there.
Okay. And
I don't know that for a fact, but that's what I've been told.
okay. Well, the reason I didn't ask about it the night that it was brought up is because I really don't care for hearsay. I was hoping to get the individual that heard it, or someone that heard it, or maybe said it, and that's what I
Well, it didn't come out of my mouth.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And if it did, somebody's not telling the truth.
Okay. So are you?
I've worked plenty of wrecks that I would have loved to had a glass of water, a bottle of water.
Understood.
And have sent our own people to go get water.
Okay. As far as the MOU that I remember us talking about a year or two ago, do you have the MOU in your possession?
I have had a copy, yes.
Okay. The overall discussion, and I've talked with Chief Clark on some maybe unrelated matters. Most of my conversation pertaining to this situation was with Chief McCormick, and we had discussed the fact that we were going to have to make sure that you were notified for any calls or anything. What's the status on that?
We don't get called.
Okay. And that's by either fire or police?
No, sir. I mean, we get an email asking for assistance at times, but, I mean, like Cherie, I'll take that back. Cherie even called about carrying the load today. She emailed first, then she followed up with a phone call saying, will you assist? Told her, absolutely, we'll do whatever you'd like for us to do.
Okay. Okay. But this is not common practice?
Normally, I mean, if I get an email, I try to respond, and this is what we've done is, like I said, carry the load, 5K run, Old Timers Day, No request for Howl at the Moon, no request for Christmas. That's it.
Thank you.
I don't know if this question would be best posed to you or to the chiefs, but please feel free to help me out. Speaking to the floor at large, have you been offered the HIPAA training by the fire department and the fire extinguisher training, the traffic training, and the CERT program by the police department?
No, we haven't.
As far as the HIPAA training is concerned, they should have received that under their CEUs, under their emergency medical service. That's readily available.
The EMTs do get that.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I'll be the question asker here for our chiefs. I think Chief Walker said that you had asked them on several occasions to come and help.
We don't ask. We send an email
Send an
to
email.
all the agencies. This is going to be the briefing time, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. You send the email, but they never came or they never replied or something, and you finally just,
Sergeant Davis always sends the email out.
and there was no
So
reply.
I'm not aware of replies or no replies.
There are
Those go
replies.
Those go to Sergeant Davis.
What about yours, Chief Clark, where they go to?
We haven't really had any correspondence. Dana and I speak probably on the most regular basis about Bridgestone, and that's where he works, and talked about safety issues, but really,
And pretty regular. I mean, if
yeah,
if
I mean,
if-
we speak
if-
quite a bit,
If
but,
Chris has a problem, he's gonna pick up the phone and call me,
correct.
and vice versa.
But really, we haven't really had a whole lot of conversation concerning the squad, but
Let's see.
So the statement, my understanding, was made to you about the water
no,
thing.
sir, it was told to me.
It was told to you?
Yes, sir.
And do you have a time frame about when
I
that
don't
happened?
know that. It was a
In
conversation.
2003?
Well, I don't have any idea what time that was. It was told to me by a reliable source. And it was in a point of when they were talking about merging with Box at some point in time during the history of this adventure.
But who said it?
I was told by Ricky McCormick.
Okay. Did he hear it, or did he hear it from someone
That
else?
I don't know. That was
That's-
what was told to me.
Right.
Quote, unquote.
So
And,
my,
and I think both of them, both individuals that heard this and said this are both deceased.
That I don't know.
my and I'm going to reach out to Bruce or Cal for your assistance on this. I'm quite sure that over the years, I did receive the MOU, but if it's possible, could I possibly get a copy of that MOU?
Yes,
Because
sir.
I think we need a better understanding as far as notification. Any MOU would have that in there as to the proper notification. And I think there is a a backup on an email, because a lot of times, working off-site like I do, I get people that tell me all the time that they sent me an email, and I don't say yay or nay, but I was also assigned a phone. And usually if I don't answer that email, I get the phone, because that's where they tell me they sent me the email. I get the phone call. So we need to check on that MOU and just get better clarification on it, and if need be, we need to update it.
I'll send a copy to all of the board members.
Thank you very much.
I have one more question. Can you talk to me about your participation in the census?
Yes, it was cold and wet. And people really don't realize how much it helps the city when we go to these doors and ask for these people to give us that information. It's amazing how people are very private today, and I understand that. But even with wearing city attire or representing the city, you still are not really liked during these times. But it's amazing when you go to one house and find out 18 people are in that house. So, yeah, I think it was a worthwhile thing. I'm glad we participated, and I'm glad it worked out.
Do you know approximately how many man-hours you had invested in the census?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
Okay, that's fine. And also, did you take any compensation for the census work?
No, we did not.
Do you know how many people you had working the census?
There was 6 to 10 people that was out working pretty constant.
Any other questions?
Well, back on the line of the census, I'm going to make a recommendation to the board that we have Kyle train everybody, because from what I hear, even if a dog is chasing you and you run back to get in the car, he tells you to go back and make sure you get the census sign.
Yeah, there's some mean dogs in Laverne too.
Yeah, so I think he can be the trainer, the city trainer.
We've got to make sure to have Phyllis assist with that, though.
I'll drive the next one.
You're driving it?
I'll drive.
We're starting one right now, so federal census.
We don't have to do the federal, thank goodness.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a couple questions for Dana. So from budget 2015 to the current, you received $75,000 from the city.
Correct.
And from 2015 to 2018, how many actual rescue calls or assist in rescue that has happened in our city?
The last 3 years, we haven't been called. Well, 2 years, we haven't been called on anything, I don't think. Justin, can you recall? We had a flood water situation 2 years ago.
November 2017.
Right, that we assisted with.
Can you go into detail on the November 17th?
Chris, did you call? Or I think you did. We ended up going to getting our equipment, going to the other side of Laverne. Special Ops was also called at the probably same time, maybe before, I don't know. They had already gotten their boat out in the water. We're still assisting. Then we got a call to go back in the Madison Square area and assisted with the family over there.
And what was that?
It was same flood water.
Mm-hmm. And that was in November of what?
17.
So for $75,000, the citizens of Laverne received 2 calls. Is that through our dispatch chief?
It would probably be. I don't know if Chief Clark would have had dispatch notify or not.
They attempted to notify and didn't get any results. I'd called Dana, I think. If I best recall,
Right.
I called you on your personal cell phone and said,
Correct.
hey,
Correct.
come out. If I best
I mean,
recall.
we don't have people awake at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're going to have to call. Sort of like, 911, if you're listening to the radio and you're asleep, you're not going to wake up and hear it.
But the call for that's going to come from fire generated from fire to dispatch to notify.
Right. So throughout the county, the rescue squads have changed, revolve,
That's correct.
and throughout the state. TARS is still really strong, so I'm not second-guessing your qualifications, your training, or anything like that, your dedication. My concern is $100,000 is a lot of money, and that's, if you add your $25,000, that's where we would be. We'd be at $100,000 from the taxpayers we don't have anything. And my concern with that is to me, it's the return for our investment. Over the years, the rescue squad was very active up until about, 2001, 2002?
About 2015, I think.
Well, I'm saying in Laverne.
July of 2014, we took
14.
over the extrication service.
Well, yeah, we took over the extrication. So the amount of revenue that's been provided by the city is what, over 20 years? What's that number?
I'm sorry, do
The-
what?
The amount of revenue from the city of Laverne to the Laverne Rescue Squad.
I'd go get a calculator and calculate it up.
Can you estimate it?
Over the years?
Yeah, just, it doesn't have to be exact. I'm just trying to get $500,000.
Probably not that. Probably, yeah, 600.
$600,000. And that's just estimated. So, with that said, Chief, does our fire department have the capabilities to run extrication?
Yes, sir, we do, and we also have other partners that are called mutual aid partners as well. So, you know, what traditionally happens if we got tied up for some reason or another, we normally call a mutual aid partner such as Smyrna, and they would come in and respond. Now, that traditionally has to do with fire. Also with technical rescues, things like that. We utilize the county quite a bit. However, we've come to a point where we can hold our own.
Has the rescue squad, what can you do for us today in 2019?
Still provide an ambulance service on standby occasions, assist with traffic.
So
same thing we have been doing.
let's talk about the ambulance service.
Mhm.
So 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if Chief Clark requests a ambulance, I mean, we've been stretched thin. That's a great subject. The response time getting your ambulance to one of our citizens is what?
It's probably going to take an hour to get a crew together.
I just want the board to understand $25,000 a year. This board in the previous years has been very generous to the rescue squad. And even so generous, there's members of this board that had their celebration at the rescue squad's building.
Oh, well, I'd just like to clarify, I rented their building, I paid for it, there's a check receipt for it, you can check into that if you need to. It's available to all citizens, actually, at any time.
I'm glad you clarified that.
I don't mind doing so.
I'm glad you rented a building for your celebration with a 501c3 group.
And we rent it out to whoever we can rent it out for, as an offset for income.
I just feel that $25,000, and I just asked you the question, what are you providing? What can you provide the citizens of Laverne today? And you said an ambulance service with an hour response time. To me, and if this chief of fire and the chief of police thinks that's good for our city, then we need to give them the money. But these are the department heads that have to make the phone calls. It's not going to be any of these people on this board. It's not going to be any of these guys. It's going to be that guy or his staff. In the event of an emergency, and you're calling for help.
Let's go back and talk about Good Friday tornado. All the ambulances, all the rescue vehicles were out of this city. They went to Murfreesboro, including ours. Was that wrong? Absolutely. Because you know what happened? There was a wreck. You know how long that patient sat there in that car?
How long?
90 minutes.
That's a problem.
That's a big problem.
And that's
Absolutely.
That's
That's why I said it was wrong on our part for even taking our ambulance out. But we weren't providing primary ambulance coverage.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm in agreement with you. It's wrong. We've been fighting the ambulance for a long time. We just now established a second truck, a 12-hour truck. And it's still not enough to me. I feel, down the road, there may be even more changes.
Exactly.
But $25,000 times 4 is $100,000, and your justification of receiving $75,000 is, and I'm even going to throw in National Night Out. You forgot, you attended National Night Out. It wasn't on your list. Carry the Load, the Christmas Parade. You know, these are things that the average citizen also attends. We have citizens that attend the parade. We have citizens that show up with booths at these same events. And some of these citizens, they live week to week, and they're not getting $25,000 for showing up for this stuff. So it's important for this board to understand that we can't, I'm not saying the rescue squad is not an asset, and I'm not saying that the organization isn't true. What I am saying, it's a hard sell for me to let the citizens of Laverne know that we're spending $25,000 with no justification.
Do you have a financial report for us, Kurt? Can I ask, like, how much?
Absolutely, it's totally
How much
open.
do you have in your,
Phyllis?
how much do you have in your checking account right now for the?
Probably $92,000. That's why we pay for everything up front with cash, or pay for it.
And all of our nonprofit financial reports are available for you to review.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to add one other thing. With the, over the past 20 years, with that $600,000 generous donation that we've given, just in your rough estimate, how many, back when y'all were doing this, since we went all the way back, how many lives have been saved?
Oh,
Or assisted?
I don't have a number on that.
Don't answer it. I mean, you don't have to answer it then. Just give me this hypothetical. How much was one of those lives worth?
You can't put a dollar amount on one life.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And probably thousands. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. I know I've been next to this man right here on the side of the road with the Jaws of Life. So
When you were a volunteer with the,
when I was a volunteer with them, the situation is now. What I'm saying is to give $25,000 to an organization that is not providing anything for our city, and they're not the only ones on here, you know, I mean, I'm asking these questions to everyone. They're not the only ones. But I'm saying $25,000 is a lot of money for an organ. Dana, how long have you been director?
That's a good question.
20 years?
Probably 15.
Okay, 15 years. And before you, it's your family?
Grandfather.
So his grandfather. So same director over, you know,
Then
they're
before
loyal,
that-
they're dedicated.
Then before that, it was Pete Finch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, there's not a question. I'm not questioning their loyalty. I'm not questioning their dedication. What I'm questioning is how do we justify the $25,000 when we can, out of the director's mouth.
During the flood, you could have you could have backed it up a lot because everything in the city was tied up, and county.
Yeah, it was national.
2010.
It was a
That's
movement
exactly
across
right.
the state.
Any more questions?
just one. Phyllis, do you know what the average cost of one fireman or one police officer is for the first year?
With benefits is around 62, 64.
So a little more than twice as much as the rescue is requesting for the entire year. Thank you.
Chief Clark, is the rescue squad called to your scene in an emergency? Currently, are we utilizing the Laverne Rescue Squad for emergencies in our city?
We have not since November of 2017.
Chief Walker, are we utilizing the Laverne Rescue Squad for emergencies through your department?
Not for the emergencies that I'm directly responsible for, no. I don't know what we would, not an emergency. For the assistance with parades and traffic control, et cetera, yes.
Mr. Schmidt, did you have a comment you'd like to make?
I do. I just have one. My name's Chris Schmidt. I am with the Rescue Squad. What do we do for this city? We do a lot behind the scene, but one of the things that I do want to mention is we belong to the Tennessee Association of Rescue Squads, which has about 600 active members in it. And if we had a disaster here, we could pick the phone up and make a few phone calls, and we could have several hundred people here to help out. So we do have the capability to have more manpower here at any given time.
Would that be considered mutual aid?
That would be under the mutual aid for the rescue squad, yes.
Rescue squad.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question with that, Chris. In the May 10 floods, did that call go out?
Excuse me?
During the May 10 floods, did that call go out to TARS for assistance in Laverne?
That I do not know. I was directed to come assist here. I don't know that answer.
So you don't know if you've called them?
I did not call, no. I didn't have the authority to call them at that time.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Moving on, Paul Latour with the Chamber.
Good evening, and as the mayor said, I'm Paul Latour, president of the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce, and I want to thank you for your continued partnership and basically the three things that we are heavily involved in. Of course, first and foremost is economic development, and that's job recruitment. And I'm proud to say that Laverne had a fantastic year, most recently with the announcement of ICE moving their headquarters here from California to create a number of jobs. We also had some expansions of a couple of companies here, automation being one of them, and also with Cardinal Health, which continues to invest in this community as well. In addition, we are responsible for the tourism function for the county, and or I guess for about the fourth straight year in a row, we have had we remain in the top 10 in tourism expenditures for the state of Tennessee. We're very proud of that. And then I guess finally, what I would mention to you, many of you know that we have a strong emphasis in what we call workforce development. We do not have enough people today to fill the jobs that we currently have available in our county. And so we work with the school systems, we work with folks, partners like Motlow, the TCAT and others to make sure that we make our citizens and kids aware that the high five demand sectors in construction and also in information technologies, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and I think I'll leave one out, but anyhow, so we continue to have another great year. In terms of Rutherford County last year, we had 1,500 new jobs. And so we have a lot of momentum, and so this county will continue to be an exciting place for prospective industry to come to our community, as well as create new jobs in all of our areas. So again, I always appreciate the partnership, working with the staff and Bruce and Kyle and others. You guys have, when we have someone coming in looking at this community, these guys jump through hoops to make sure they're welcome and also to explain the process in terms of permitting and building codes and all that. So we certainly appreciate that.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. What was your first name again?
Paul.
Paul, thank you. So Paul, with all the help, it is pretty exciting.
Yes, sir.
I'm new to this, so
yes, sir.
I'm learning what you guys do. And we had some grand openings at Planet Fitness, and
right.
a lot of different things. So I'm learning. So the 39,000, I guess it's broke down. Are you responsible for all that?
Yes, sir.
So, and with that, I've actually spoke to some of the volunteers in Murfreesboro and Smyrna at their city halls.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something in the future that we'll have representation at our city hall like the other cities?
We've had that in the past. We actually really wasn't volunteers; it was a staff person.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we, Bruce and I chatted about that when Deborah decided to resign, and we just hadn't come back and revisit that. But certainly something that's on the table to discuss.
Yeah, I remember there was many years there was a lady that just sat out there, and she was kind of our face of the city hall.
Yes, sir.
So okay. And with the rapid growth of the county, where do you see Laverne?
Laverne is very much in the mix of where a lot of companies want to go. You look at Park 24, which is a new development. I would dare say it's probably one of the hottest developments in the state of Tennessee. We've had more activity at that one particular development. I don't see that slowing down, I guess, until we fill it up.
Right.
And so I'm pretty optimistic that we'll get there a lot sooner than we will later. And so I think the Laverne's biggest challenge is as it is in Murfreesboro, is Smyrna's just available properties to develop. And so, especially with you guys being somewhat landlocked, or not somewhat, you are landlocked.
We're definitely landlocked. Maybe you can talk Smyrna into giving us up a little bit.
I know the city manager pretty well. We probably get that done.
How do you like your new role?
What's that?
How do you like your new role with the chamber and everything? Are you?
Well, I've been here almost 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, okay.
But I love it. I came from West Tennessee, and there's certainly a lot more opportunity here to be involved. Yeah, in my job here, people kill to have the opportunities that we have in Rutherford County.
And at your establishment, you have both volunteer and paid staff, right?
We do. We have about, I want to say 23 paid staff members, and then we have, probably the most visible group of volunteers are our diplomats, and they're the ones that go to all the ribbon cuttings, they go to all different functions, and they are a great group of folks that really advocate for what we're doing at the chamber.
And I see over the last 4 years, the request is pretty consistent.
Yes, sir. It has been.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you all.
Moving on, do we have anyone from the RTA? Okay. Anybody with GNRC? Rutherford County Health Department.
Yes, sir. Hello, I'm Dana Garrett. I'm the director of the health departments. Just a little summary of what I submitted for you guys to review is that we are asking for $4,000. We see about 250 customers a day between our two sites, and 18% of those patient encounters have zip codes from Laverne. Our overall operating budget is around $5.3 million. And we have consistently kept our request for appropriation from you guys at $4,000 and have consistently been funded. I think there was 1 year where they dropped it to $2,000, and then the next year brought it back up to $4,000. I've been at the health department 21 years. I've been in this leadership role for around 11 or 12, working closely with Phyllis. So. Do you have questions about the services we offer, or?
Yeah, if you don't mind, for the folks at home.
Absolutely. We have quite a list of, as a matter of fact, I wrote them or brought them printed out so that I wouldn't forget anything. Because we do so much. It's kind of easier to say what we don't do as a healthcare facility. So we offer HIV and AIDS prevention, breastfeeding education, breastfeeding pumps, and peer counselors, home visitors, care coordinators for children with special services. We go and help any child with special services, make sure they get all the extras they might need and that they are connected to all the different services that you've heard about today. We do child health, so primary care, public health, immunizations for children. We do colposcopy, which is abnormal pap smear follow-up. That's a really specialty thing. We're the only county in our region, in the lower part of our region, that offers that. We offer dental services in our Murfreesboro site, because that is a real specialty thing, but we do offer that. We focus on children and preventative service and emergency adult services in that. We have a diabetic education team working on, it's an RN and a registered dietitian that are certified diabetic educators, and they work to help not only prevent diabetes, but take care and case manage people who have already been diagnosed with diabetes. We do a ton of emergency preparedness, all that NIMS training, we're all trained in that, and we have agreements with all the high schools to open up emergency pods, we call them, points of distribution. So say we needed to get a lot of medicine to the whole county in a quickly, timely manner,
we drill that, practice that. We're all trained in that. We also have over 800 volunteers that are trained to help us with that kind of incident, and we have MOUs with all the police and the fire to help us with traffic and ambulance service and those kinds of things. We do epidemiology for communicable diseases, food outbreaks, those kinds of things. We do all the inspection and environmental health inspections for every restaurant in our county, every hotel, every school, every swimming pool, and there's tattoo parlors as well. We do family planning education, helping women with pap smears, mammograms, birth control choices and options. We do a ton of health education. Last year we reached over 90,000 citizens in Rutherford County with health education information. We do immunizations. We do men's health, so primary care and public health for men who are underinsured or uninsured. We do nutrition counseling for people who need that. We offer some beginning prenatal care and connecting people into the services they need when they're pregnant. One of our biggest programs is WIC, the Women, Infant, and Children Program. 1 in 2 families in Rutherford County are eligible for that program. It's one of our larger ones. We do teen care advocacy, STD testing, sexually transmitted disease testing. We do tuberculosis testing and treatment. We do all the vital records for the county, birth certificates and death certificates. Tennessee's kind of special. If you were born in any other state, you wouldn't know how lucky we are here, because you can walk right into any health department and get your birth certificate for a small fee on the same day that you request it. Most states you have to mail in something and pay quite a bit, so it's kind of a nice thing that Tennessee offers. We do women's health, preventative, and sick care, primary care, all of that. The environmental classes we talked about, food safety classes we teach for all the restaurants. We'll go on site or they can come to us. We have both at both of our sites. They can register to vote with us at the health department. Of course, we partner with MTSU and Montlow and Union and several other schools, because we have a lot of nursing power and doctors and dentists that they like to come and do their internships with us. That's just kind of a quick overview of our top services that we offer for your residents.
Does anyone have any questions?
Wow, I had no idea they did that.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I've done a lot of reading this last week on nonprofits and, and trying to learn.
We are a government agency, not a nonprofit.
Yes, yeah, government agency.
Okay.
With the rise in Laverne at our high school, teen pregnancy is one of the top subjects right now. And after meeting with several parents and teachers and counselors, I'm trying to define the word. It's a growing problem. However, I don't know that it's a problem. You know, I want to make sure people understand. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's your personal beliefs. However, what does the health department, is that something you guys assist with? Is there any training or?
Yeah, one of our favorite sites is the Laverne High School. The principal there is awesome and works with us really well, and we're able to get in and offer all kinds of lifestyle choices classes and lifestyle balance classes and hygiene classes. And so, yes, we are more than willing to go to any school that's watching. The more schools, the better, you know, that we can get the message. But yeah, Laverne is one. I have several letters from the teachers and principals about our health education team and the great things they've been doing for the teens in the high school.
That's wonderful. And we also have a heavy undocumented population. The need of these folks to get assistance, is it welcoming at your establishment, being that it's county run?
Yes, yeah. It's not one of the things. There are certain programs that we have that are state funded or federally funded, and so they come with their own requirements that we have to, you know, institute. Like some might say that if you're coming for primary care services, you might need to produce this document. For WIC, you need these documents, you know, those kinds of things. But we provide on-site translation for Spanish speaking. And then we have a large population in Smyrna for Burmese. So we have also a language line. We also have, I think there were 15, if I'm remembering, it was 14 or 15 languages spoken in our health departments.
Wow.
Last year. So we monitor that every year. When we get to a certain amount, then we actually add bodies, people who are actually physically translating for us. So we have 4 Spanish translators that help us, 2 in the Smyrna and 2 in the Murfreesboro site. But then they're also cross-trained in clerical duties, and so if they're not busy translating, they're doing that. And then for the other languages, we use the language line. All those people have to be medically certified to translate. So it's a whole nother thing. You know, medical language is its own language. So they have to take a certification test. So it's not just that they know that language, but they also know medical terminology.
And your request for the $4,000 has been consistent?
Yes.
And
I went back to the 70s.
Okay.
We asked for 4,000 then.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Any other questions?
No question, just a comment. Wow.
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you.
That's amazing. I had no idea y'all did all that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you saying that.
Thank you, Ms. Gary.
Very proud of what we do. Thank you for your support.
Next, Rutherford County Pause.
Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Good evening. I am Shay Harrington. I am the field supervisor for Rutherford County Pause. Michael, the director, was called to a budget meeting with the county commission, so he sent me to discuss with you guys. So Rutherford County Pause, we are in the animal services department here in not Murfreesboro, but Rutherford County. We handle animal cases such as bites, rabies suspect, cruelty, neglect. We assist local and county police departments whenever they call and need help with us regarding an animal. We are a 24-hour emergency services department. We have somebody running 24/7, 365. We also offer a free spay and neuter, along with a free rabies vaccine for all residents of Rutherford County, regardless of their income. That doesn't matter. We received 2,912 calls here in Laverne just in the 2018 year. That's 14% of our total call volume. And
Excuse me, what was that number again?
it was 2,912 calls that we touched and completed in the fiscal year of 2018. In our total intake, we had about 10.2% of our total intakes came from Laverne as well.
Whenever you say the 2912 number, do you have a time frame as far as what the average is for response time on that?
I do not. I don't know that is provided. I do know, I don't have an exact number. I do know what our attempt is for our heavy priorities. We have a priority 3, 4, 5, and that's the type of emergencies that we have. I know that a priority 3 is get to as soon as possible. That could range anywhere from 30 minutes, that could range to an hour. Depending on if there's only one officer on the road, that might take a little bit longer than that, but roughly we try and get to that within 30 minutes to an hour. The priority 4 is make sure we get to it the same day. It's an emergency, but it's not something that needs our immediate attention. And then the rest is we get to it as we have the available ability. We are asking for 2 additional officers this year in the county, during the county budget, because of the growth, the population growth. So we have 10 active positions now, and we're requesting 2 additional.
So do you guys, are you considered county staff?
Yes, sir.
County entity?
Is there a way to get from your director, a breakdown with those calls, what those priorities were? That way we kind of can see what that response is.
I'm going to say I will ask. I'm not sure how our computer system prints out, so I'm not sure if he would be able to divvy it up to that minute, but I can ask. I can ask for that information and be provided to all of you guys.
So are you familiar with our community, pretty much.
Yes, sir.
So what I've learned over the last several months is each neighborhood, they kind of have their own pet police. And that's what I call them. I don't know what they call themselves, but there's citizens out there and they put the pet on Facebook and say your pet's missing or your pet's, and they find it and they get it back to the owner. Is that helping you guys? Is that a positive, do you think, or is that a negative?
I mean, any time an animal gets back to its owner is a positive.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how that happens, whether that's through us or whether that's through a third-party entity.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it hinders us at all.
Right.
I don't really know how many of those get back to their owners via a third party or how many of them actually get back from us.
Okay. Is that something in the future that you guys may get involved with some training? Because what we're seeing now, there's several more people out doing it, and my biggest fear is that their intentions are really good. I really believe they're practicing from their heart. However, when you go to a stray animal, whether it be a cat or dog or whatever, if the animal's not comfortable with you, or if the animal is just scared, the animal may bite them, and then that animal becomes, he's in trouble. The he or she or the pet, it goes from a pet to a danger, and then the individual trying to help has a situation. What I'd like to see in the future is maybe you guys put on some sort of class of awareness, so these folks, these citizens can maybe kind of learn the do's and don'ts. I have no idea how to get a stray dog.
Right.
I've gone out and helped them look for certain dogs, and I don't even know what to do if I ever find one. I don't want to get bit. However, we have the food, and the dog comes up and eats, but when the food's gone, the dogs sometimes they get upset, they get vicious, and they may not be harmful. They're a home pet to somebody, but to a stranger. So,
a lot of the times, these individuals reach out to us
Okay.
before they
Good.
even post anything.
Okay.
Or if they posted something, they immediately reach out to us and say, hey, we found this animal, it's running loose. We always educate any member of the public that calls in stating that they have a stray animal, the do's and don'ts. We always say, no matter what you do, please do not get bitten or scratched.
Right.
Please give that animal space, because along with everything else we do, we are also rabies control. So we have to make sure that every animal is current on rabies that we come into contact with, as well as send off the rabies specimens for the animals that have unfortunately bitten a person or another animal in the process, or have come into contact with a wild animal.
And there's been several incidents in Laverne to where a pet has bit somebody, and not in a vicious manner, but the pet, in the pet's mind, I guess it was doing the right thing, but they break rules and laws, and it turns into, it's a hardship for the pet owner. There's, even a little bite, a trip to the ER, it's a hardship for the person that was bitten, and it kind of gets out of hand. There's courts involved, there's, a lot of different people. You guys get involved. So we're trying to help educate folks. Their intention is doing the right thing. We're just trying to, there's a lady and a gentleman, they actually have a truck with the cages in the back. So they're like the local dog catcher.
Right.
You call them, they come get the dog, they either bring it to you guys or they bring it to the homeowner. I mean, it's an organized group that's growing. I just hope that we get the proper training so, they don't get hurt.
That
or hurt the
specific
animals.
group that you're referring to, I'm really not quite sure who they may be. However, if they're listening,
Yes.
and again, I'm open to
I'm
to
definitely going to
communication.
I'm definitely going to get them in front of you guys, because they're already familiar with you, and you guys already do some things together. We just need to kind of get it to the next level.
Right.
We just don't want them to get in trouble. Some of the animals are very expensive, and their intentions may be good, but you put a dog in the back of your truck, the dog's going to bark and choke itself.
We are definitely more geared towards education than we are penalizing anybody for anything. So a lot of the calls that we run, we give quite a few educational warnings, I guess you would say, versus saying, all right, well, I mean, you didn't meet the qualifications, here's your citation.
That's right.
Where the case may be. So we're definitely open to all sorts of education.
The amount, the $35,000
Yes,
is a lot of money.
It is.
As you heard tonight, there's each group has a number.
Right.
And you add all those numbers together, you know, it's $250,000. So the $35,000 to justify to the citizens, if you can just briefly, you kind of told us what you did, but we have some numbers, 2,912 calls for 2018, 10% of what you're picking up. The 35,000, what does it cost you to take care of an animal? You know, do you have like a daily cost if you pick up a dog, or a daily cost for a cat?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That would be a Michael question. Okay. Michael is definitely the budget man. However, I can say that the year, because we go by fiscal year, so from July 1st to June 30th of 17-18, because we're not finished with our 18 year. So sorry, excuse me, 17-18. We ran and completed 400 more calls here in Laverne than we did in Smyrna. Wow. And again, goes back to the total 14% call volume. We run the entire county, and Laverne's a large chunk of what we handle. It takes roughly, and this is without the added extra of asking for 2 extra officers, it takes on average an officer and a half daily to run the calls located in Laverne and Smyrna alone, mostly Laverne. Okay. So that money, those funds would help to
so the
to provide for our extra officers and the extra
may help
government.
for, you know, payroll and benefits and
Correct.
things like that. Okay.
Chief Walker, can you weigh in as far as, from the police department standpoint, the interactions with PAWS as far as whenever y'all have called and needed assistance?
In the past, it was an issue, a big issue. In recent history, it's been much better. 35,000 would be a full-time officer. Now, that's not counting benefits, equipment, training, etc., but that would be salary. Now, I know they can't put somebody over here full-time because you got to add a vehicle, etc. The only issue that I have had was several months ago, and I believe this young lady actually came with someone else. Maybe you were training at the time. And 2 doors down from me, the neighbor's shepherd got out, climbed the fence. That was a 6-foot fence. And we had some new folks that had moved into the neighborhood, and they had free-range chickens in their backyard. And the dog killed one of the chickens. Well, there was a male who had been there that day that made the mistake of going 2 doors up and knocking on the door and then threatening my wife to put her in jail because her dog killed a chicken and so on and so forth. So naturally, when I got home, you all can imagine what I had to listen to. And then these young ladies came, and I asked them, I said, would you please go back and tell somebody over there not to send him back over here again? Because it cost me a whole lot of heartache. But I will say we have had much better response from PAWS than we did for a few years. It was difficult. We would call with a very serious situation, and sometimes it would be even the next day. It was kind of rough. Now, one of the things I would like to add, though, as a resident of Laverne, if I may, is don't forget we pay county taxes too. So if we pay additional, you see where I'm coming from there. But you all have been doing a lot better.
I appreciate that. I take pride in that. So I appreciate that.
Any other questions?
How does those numbers, 2912 for us, how's that compare to other little cities? Or do you know that? You may just have brought
I have it right here. It might just take me a second to
I'm
find
just curious.
It was while she's looking at that, this is similar to my question about the emergency management, like what Chief Walker just brought up. we do pay a lot of money to the county. And just like the county emergency management, the 10,000, and this would be a county entity, the 35,000. Is this standard? Is this how the other cities do it? I'm just asking, I don't know.
I'm not familiar with other cities' nonprofits. I know Smyrna, unless, I don't know if they've changed or not, but they actually didn't donate. We're focusing toward not having nonprofits, monies funded from the city. It was actually a task force, and a group of people that were nominated for this task force would actually go out to businesses to try to earn money for nonprofits, and nonprofits got a share of that. I don't know if they're 100% that way now. Bruce, I don't know if you've talked to them lately.
I'm not aware if that's changed.
And with this being nonprofit, is there a reason to have the county entities on here? Of course, they're nonprofit because they're county, you know, they're not for-profit, but they're not a 501c3.
Right. We tried to give exposure to every organization that we're making donations to, whether it's a nonprofit or a government agency. You know, even though it says nonprofit, it could technically mean a government agency.
Like
or
the health departments and
Just kinda,
things like that.
We're trying to keep it all together so you'll see what all we're donating to the different agencies.
So it looks like for the Blackman area, we did 2,571 calls. Buchanan area, we did 1,559 calls. Laverne, the 2,912. Las Casas, 1,546. Murfreesboro, 6,886. Calls that we handled that weren't even in our county, that came to us from out of county or ended up going out of county after we started to handle them. There were 14 of those. Rockville, 1,562. Smyrna, 2,512. Walter Hill, 1,082.
And you do all that with 10 people?
We do all that, well, 8. I have 8 fully trained officers. I've got 1 training right now, and then myself whenever somebody's on vacation.
Do you have any volunteers?
Not for the officers. We have volunteers that come in and help walk the dogs,
Okay.
but not for the officer side.
We do the same thing with our police department.
What, walk dogs?
No, understaffed.
Oh. But you also have full-time employees that are officers that have to help their kenneling and
Correct.
caring for and whatever else may have to happen.
That is correct as well. We do have officers that will stay in and help clean if and when necessary.
Alderman Jones, do you have a question?
Okay, yes. How many people do you have? Again, you said 9 right now.
As far as officers or total?
People that can actually go out on call.
I have 8 fully trained officers. That does not include me, so I guess that would be 9. I have 1 that I'm training right now. She's literally been on the road 1 day. So I'm working with her right now. We have 1 position open right now that we are actively interviewing for, and again, we've asked for 2 extra positions with the county.
And is this 24/7?
Yes, sir.
It is a 24/7? Okay, in your recollection, how long was your longest priority 5 call? Just an estimate.
If there was a holiday, probably 3 days.
Okay.
Just because on the holidays we're emergencies only. We have 1 officer that's on a 24-hour on-call that is emergencies only.
How long was your longest priority 3?
Same day.
I know you aim at.
Same day. I can't give you an exact time frame, but it would be same day, done same day.
Okay, I mean, but you make it same day, but it's not going to be the 30 minutes to an hour.
That we shoot for that.
Okay. But
It's just whenever we can get the next available officer over there and ready to take care of it. There have been times I've had to pull officers from a different zone to send up there because we were already working an emergency, and that specific area has requested another officer, so I've had to do what I could to get another officer over in that area to take care of it.
Okay, and what's the target time for follow-up?
Daily. We follow up every day. until this situation is rectified.
Okay, so it would be an unusual situation if there was a citizen that I could identify that had a situation with a vicious dog that was not followed up with. It would be
Repeat that, I'm
unusual.
sorry.
It would be an unusual situation or anomaly if I could present a citizen that had a vicious dog situation and was not followed up with.
Absolutely. That would be an anomaly, for sure.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Not to put you on the spot, because obviously the other guy's at the other place, but you're doing a really good job answering our questions.
Thank you.
The 35,000
Yes, sir.
is, going back, looking, Phyllis, is it true that year 15, 16, and 17, we didn't give them anything?
That's correct, we haven't.
Did you guys request during those years?
Yes, sir.
And what was the amount of requesting?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure? Do we have a number, Phyllis?
I want to say that it was, just a minute. $10,000 in 12-13. 29.5 and 14-15, 27 and 15-16, and 30,000 16-17, and then 35 this year.
Okay, thank you.
So this isn't, as far as, this isn't limited to just going back to 2015 as far as not funding
Correct.
through the city.
So you go to the other municipalities and ask them like you're doing us.
Yes, sir.
You're trying to get money together, basically to hire more people to, because I guess what I'm looking at is for $35,000, I'm greedy, what does Laverne get?
Right. Well, it goes back to the free spay and neuter. We have the free spay and neuter program that is utilized throughout all of county. It's not just Murfreesboro, Laverne, Smyrna, it's everybody, and it's regardless of income. So you have multiple individuals in all counties that they don't get their animals spayed and neutered because they can afford it. We take care of that, and we also do the rabies vaccine as well, which is something that's required by law for all animals to have. So that's the main thing that we do. We work really heavily with rescues and getting the PR out there for individuals to come to our shelter and adopt, because we are a shelter as well as animal services. So we have everybody in the county come to our facility as well to adopt our animals. So there are multiple things that our PR individual is fantastic at.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine.
Do you have a program for, like I was speaking to Box 100, for the PTSD, our military and first responders with the pet assistance?
We don't. When we go through our euthanasia training, we obviously learn about compassion fatigue, which is something that animal handlers, animal caregivers suffer greatly from, especially when they have to euthanize the animal. So we go over the signs of that. We have our EAP program that we utilize if and when necessary. After listening to you ask her that question earlier, I'm intrigued to do some more research on that. I've been in this field for 8 years, and I've seen my fair share. We've had quite a few officers just recently see some things that you wouldn't expect to see on an animal services
I can only
department.
imagine.
So I'm intrigued to learn more information about that.
Okay. Kathy still with you guys? No?
No, sir.
I have one other question. I'm sort of confused on the money that or the funding that you're requesting is for services and supplies, right?
Yes, sir.
Because I've heard employing an individual.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you're looking at, okay, because you're still county employees.
Correct.
Okay, and as far as that goes, they do have access to employee assistance and all that.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
You did a really good job
I appreciate
answering
that.
our
Thank you.
questions.
Mid-Cumberland.
Well,
Well, it's great to be here tonight. I'm Sharon with Mid-Cumberland Human Resource Agency. I'll try to be brief since I've got 4 programs to, to talk about. Meals on Wheels, of course, the name kind of says what it is. It delivers food to homebound senior citizens. We probably serve 4,000 to 6,000 meals, depending on how many clients we're serving per year here in Laverne. We're very volunteer-driven. All of our meals are delivered by volunteers. They kind of foster a sense of family for seniors. About half of our seniors live alone, so that's kind of family for them. Our next program, Homemaker, works with adults who've been abused. Most of the referrals we get are coming through Adult Protective Services. So we will go in and work with this senior to help them be able to live independently. Our goal for both Meals on Wheels and Homemaker is to help that senior be able to live independently. Just from a community perspective, if you can keep a senior at home aging in place rather than putting them in a nursing home, it's about $5,000 or so to do in-home service cost to keep them at home, as opposed to, $55,000, $60,000 to go to a nursing home or assisted living. So anything we can do as a community to help a senior to age in place, and that's really where they want to be, is to be able to age at home. Our next program, Transportation. I'm sure you've seen our vans roaming all over the place. We, of course, serve 13 counties, serve here in Rutherford County. Primarily what we're doing is helping people get to doctor's appointments that may not have transportation. A lot of our clients are on dialysis, so we're kind of their daily trip to help them get to a dialysis clinic. And then Youth Can is a program that works with ages 16 to 24. Most are high school dropouts. It's a great program. It works with kids that are kind of disconnected. They're not in school, they've dropped out. We'll work with them. We have career specialists who will work with them, help them get back into school, get their GED. Then they can go on. They'll help them get a career plan, whether it's going into some type of trade or whether it's going on to college. But they have about a 90% success rate of helping that young person get some kind of credential, whether it's the degree, it may be going off into the military service, or it may be some kind of trade degree. That was kind of a quick.
You had it down pat.
I've done it many times.
Now, y'all have been down to our senior center recently,
yes.
doing a presentation with them.
And we're going
about,
back on May 1st.
Okay. And currently, how many residents of Laverne do y'all service?
We're probably, any given year, and it really fluctuates, we probably do 15 to 25. It just depends on the year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd heard y'all were down there the other day. I'm sorry I missed you.
Oh, yeah, we had a good time, so we're heading back.
Yeah, I heard about it.
And ma'am, you're a 501c3?
Yes.
And your staff, is it mixed volunteer and paid?
For Meals on Wheels, it's we've got one full-time site manager, and then we've got part-time site manager, and then 3 more part-time people. And then we have a huge volunteer base here in Rutherford County. Then the other programs do not use volunteers.
Okay. And your request for, I guess, all the groups is roughly $15,000.
Close, yeah.
And looking at it, there's a slight increase for the Meals on Wheels.
For Meals on Wheels, we run a waiting list in Rutherford County of usually anywhere from 30 to 50, 55 people that we usually can't serve. We just came off of a campaign, so we have gotten that waiting list down, but I mean, we get 3 to 5 referrals a day going on everywhere we serve. So once we can get it down, it just goes right back up again.
Okay.
Is there any kind of wait list for Laverne residents right now?
Right now, we're probably at 0 because we have gotten the wait list down from our campaign. We have a campaign going on right now called Zoom to Zero. It's about raising money to help the waiting list get to 0. So we're approaching businesses and all sorts of different things to raise money. So we're probably, I don't think right now you have anybody, but that's not to say in a couple of months you won't.
Okay.
And you solicit, I guess, the government agencies, but also private sectors, right?
We do, yes. With Meals on Wheels, we do.
And how long have you been doing what you're doing?
I've been doing it 9 years.
9 years. And the assistant to abuse seniors, is that similar to like abuse children?
It is. It's very similar, actually. I mean, they're all vulnerable and aren't able to take care of themselves. So a lot of these seniors, I mean, it could be physical abuse, it could be emotional abuse. A lot of times what we see is neglect. They're not able to take care of themselves. That's one of the surprising things to me in this job for 9 years is how many people have family, but the family doesn't take care of the senior.
Right.
And so it's a lot of that.
And it's something that we'll all be one day as a
That's
senior.
right. We're all heading that way.
Mr. No already is.
Hopefully. So, the other day, the ladies, I'm the chairman of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee, so I pretty much know things down there. Your visit down there the other day, before that day, when was the last time y'all had visited?
Well, I serve all 13 counties. I don't know, I have not been there before. I don't know if our site manager in Smyrna who serves Laverne, she may have been down. She seemed to know everybody, so she may have been down there before, and I just don't know.
Okay.
But for me personally, I have not been before.
But you think your site manager has been down there?
Well, she seemed to know people, so
What's
I'm
her name?
Audrey Wilds.
I don't know her. Okay. I'm just curious. I had, heard about your all's programs. I've heard it was good. I just never seen anybody, because I'm down there quite a bit.
Well, we will be back May 1st.
I heard about it.
Ma'am, are you doing anything for, I see on the senior side and the abuse, are you doing anything for our senior veterans?
Well, we serve veterans. I mean, we do serve a lot of veterans through Meals on Wheels. And now you may have an occasional veteran coming through the APS. I don't know of that being a huge part of that population.
Okay.
But definitely with Meals on Wheels, we do serve a lot of veterans.
All right, and what was your first name again?
Sharon.
Sharon. Thank you. I enjoyed the conversation.
Any other questions?
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on to the Smyrna Laverne Assistance Coalition. Don't think we've got anyone for that.
What is that?
Next would be CASA of Rutherford County.
Phyllis, what do we normally do if the folks don't show up or we don't really get a lot of information from them? How does that work?
It's up to the board to decide as far as, when we have the budget, we're vote on the budget, there can be proposed changes to the budget, but ultimately it's up to this board to decide that.
Correct. And I did get a call from Cassie Davis, and she had 2 sick children today. She had planned on attending, but she got
Who's she
called.
with?
She's with CASA.
What about the ones that,
CASA of Rutherford County?
what about the ones that says not requested?
I have not heard from them.
So they may not be requesting
At
funds this year.
GNRC, they don't normally do their request till right in the middle of our budget season, because they do their budgets a little different and different time period than we do.
And the CASA of Rutherford County, is that another Rutherford County entity, or is that just the name of the company?
It's a child advocacy, no, it's
No.
a.
Court-appointed,
It's court appointed.
There you go, court appointed.
So that would, okay.
So we've got next Child Advocacy Center of Rutherford County. Chief, if you want to come up with this one, I know this is a big passion of yours.
You want me to start or you want to start?
Let me start. A few years ago, we started building in for Child Advocacy Center, adding to what we could because we have a lot of children in our city. We respond to a lot of calls where we have child abuse, neglect, etc. And one of the things we talked about when I first came here was actually looking at utilizing some of the drug fund we get, because about half the children, and that's what the request is, it's almost half, from the drug fund that State Attorney General says with a 501c3 we can if it's directly related in some form or fashion. And many of our abuses and neglects are children where drugs are involved, whether it's opioids or whatever else. And that's the reason that you'll see it on the drug fund side, it's down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The 123, 42, 129 line item.
There you go.
There are 3 things that are there, but Child Advocacy Center's the reason I'm standing here with Sharon. I've known this lady a long, long time. We had two boys that played ball together, travel baseball, many years ago. 13, 14 years ago, I guess, something like that.
Maybe longer.
Yeah, maybe longer. But the Child Advocacy Center is very near and dear to us simply because we have two in here that have investigated some very serious cases. Lieutenant Collis, one of them when he was a detective, and Sergeant Stalinsky, Kevin, has investigated them too, and I've seen many of them. And that's the reason that we share, because we are provided forensic interviewers. When we have a child that's physically abused or recently physical and sexually abused, there usually is something else involved in it. And those forensic interviewers are very good. They're trained, they're educated, they know how to handle interviewing children without leading them. And we have to be extremely careful. And not only that, but the after the fact help and assistance with mental health professionals that are trained to properly handle children through these situations. So I'll shut up and let you talk about the other side of it unless you all have a question.
Anytime there's a report of child abuse in the county, all of those reports by law go to Department of Children's Services. But they come in from a lot of directions. They come in from school teachers who make reports, Sunday school teachers, youth pastors, law enforcement who respond to a call and find out there's child abuse. So all of those calls by law go to Department of Children's Services. And also by law, they have to notify the Laverne Police Department and all the other, police agencies in the county, the Child Advocacy Center, and the District Attorney's Office. And we work those cases as a team. And so when that call goes out and we respond as a team, what happens is they bring the child to the Child Advocacy Center. And for those of you who've been there before, it's a very child-friendly location where kids feel comfortable when they come in. It's set up like a living room when you walk in the front door so that the child and the family feel comfortable. Because what we have found is the more comfortable people are, the more likely we are to get to the truth. And so we want that child and that family to feel real comfortable. So while the child is being interviewed, that's being observed by law enforcement. So Laverne Police Department is watching that interview because police are, they are specially trained how to tell when people are telling the truth or a lie. And they know the law better than the rest of the members of the team, except for the district attorney. And so they're watching what's happening along with Department of Children's Services. And it probably takes about an hour per child to interview that child. Now, while that child is talking to our forensic interviewer and being observed by law enforcement and Department of Children's Services, the family is talking to one of our social workers, and we're doing things like lining up a forensic medical exam for that child. We're trying to get that child into counseling, and we're looking at what the family's needs are. If that family is also a domestic violence family, we're connecting them to those resources. If there are alcohol and drug problems, we're connecting them to those resources. And so we work as a team. When we started 19 years ago, there were approximately 15 cases a month that we were working. We are giving the district attorney's office 50 to 60 new child abuse cases a month, and the vast majority of those are child sexual abuse. We are working, like the chief talked about, drug endangered children cases where the parents have a drug problem and they're using drugs in front of the children. And when we started out, about 10% of our cases involved drugs. We are now working 50% of our cases involve drugs. We have a serious drug problem in our county. Opioids are not the only thing that they're out there using in front of their children, but opioids, there's been a big explosion in opioids. And what we do with those families is we do intensive home visits where we go into their home, where you can see, there's no food in the refrigerator. The parents are buying drugs and not buying food, where you can see really what's going on. And what we do with kids is we try to break that generational cycle of addiction. And what we do with parents is try to help them get off drugs. And we only work with families that want help and say they want to stop using drugs. And I think for me personally, it's really wonderful to see the change in children's lives and that we're making a difference in their lives. We have worked really closely with Laverne Police Department. You have an outstanding police department. You have a lot to be proud of in them because they're doing a great job every day on cases.
I think what y'all do is great, and we thank you for what you do throughout the county.
Thank you. Any questions?
I can hear it in your voice how much you care.
Yeah, I definitely care. I've been doing it 19 years.
Yeah.
Where's this place at?
We're in Murfreesboro. We're actually in the old fire hall that's on Samsonite Boulevard, but we're right off of I-24, which makes it convenient for all the departments to.
They're across the street from driver's license.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about.
We're in the old fire hall over there.
Any questions?
So the $7,000 I see in 2015, is it just the last couple of years Laverne's been assisting you financially?
Laverne has assisted us from day one.
Really? Okay.
I mean, you all have supported. You were the first one. Now we get funding from City of Laverne, Rutherford County, City of Murfreesboro, and the town of Smyrna. But you all were the very first ones, and that support came directly from the police department to start with. You had an assistant chief who was on our board of directors when we first started.
Okay.
And so you all have supported us for years.
I'd like to mention to the board, as the chief was mentioning earlier, you'll see 2 line items on the budget sheet here, one from the drug fund and one from general fund for child advocacy.
Oh, gotcha. So those numbers also are from the chief's budget that's going?
Yes.
It's actually the two different pots. General fund is 8, and then we're up to 7.
It's 15,000.
From the drug fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, up to 7 from drug fund.
And our population in Laverne is growing leaps and bounds, and with that comes with, I wish you guys didn't have to exist, to be honest with you.
I do too. I wish we did not exist.
It wouldn't, the need wouldn't be there. Unfortunately, it is there, and we're blessed in my home to never have to, I've never had to deal with it one-on-one. As you reach out to people in the community, is there training that you can help, maybe
yes,
in our
we do.
community?
We do Darkness to Light child sexual abuse prevention training, and we have trained 10,600 people in Rutherford County. Wow. And our goal originally was 10,000, so we've surpassed it. Because what we want to do is train parents how to protect their children. And there are 5 easy steps to protect your children. One is to know, recognize that this is a problem. But the key thing is to not leave your child alone with any person. Now, if you know your mom and daddy didn't hurt you as a kid, you can leave them with your mom and daddy. But if to really, when you leave your children, leave them somewhere where there are other people observing so that your children are safe.
And they went through that with the Citizens Police Academy.
Yes, they did.
And that's been part of that here in Laverne.
With a percentage of the children that you see, where do we stand in that?
It varies from year to year, but it's usually 15 to 20%. Sometimes
Wow.
it's a little lower, but it's usually 15
to 20% is a really high number for this subject.
And we also have bilingual staff. We have 2 of our staff that speak Spanish because we saw a huge number. Probably 16% of our kids that we serve are Hispanic. And so what we were finding was when they came to the Child Advocacy Center, they were terrified because they thought their children were going to be removed.
That's right.
And they didn't understand that if you protect your children, they're not going to be removed if you're a protective parent. And so it really helped to have bilingual staff to explain that.
What I've learned in conversation is some of the incidents that's happening in the homes it's income related. The husband or the mother is the household income, and the the other spouse, whichever it may be, that doesn't work, they kind of add to the problem because they think that's how they have to survive. You know, they're not seeking help because they don't know how to live out without that person's income. Or is that something you guys?
We get a huge number of referrals from the school system.
From the school
I think
systems,
that kids trust their classroom teacher and their guidance counselors, and we get a lot of referrals from the school system. And so it may not be the parent that actually reports. It may be the schools, or it may be, we get a lot of reports from churches too, from Sunday school teachers and youth pastors.
So you would if you got a call, you would reach out to whatever city, the relationship, the officer, I guess, and then the officer would do his investigation, and then so you could even be at the front of the situation or at the tail end of the situation. You kind of two folds there.
Typically what happens is the report goes to Department of Children's Services, and then that's what activates the team. And so they notify Laverne Police Department that there's a new case in Laverne, and so we work that case together.
Great. All right. Thank you for answering those questions.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Montlow State Community College.
What do?
We have a presentation, do we? Pass it out directly, or?
Lieutenant Call can.
What do?
You.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, my.
Thank you.
So, good evening. My name is Lane Yoder, and I am the Executive Director of the Montlow College Foundation. I am joined this evening by my colleague, Sharon Bateman. She is the Assistant Director of the Montlow College Foundation. Inside your folder on the right-hand side is the presentation that we just want to walk through with you this evening. I'm going to tell you straight up that we are here to ask for a gift donation to help with our third building that we're putting on the Smyrna campus. But before we make that ask, I just wanted to review with you the ways in which the City of Laverne has been very generous to Montlow over the years. We first came to the City of Laverne in 2004 when we were just starting that campus, and you very generously did a 3-year pledge of $150,000, and you can see how that pledge was paid out over the next 3 years. You also sponsored our golf tournament, which we no longer do, but in 2005 we did have the Rutherford County Golf Tournament. You $300 sponsor, and then you gave us an additional $10,000 gift for the Smyrna Building Fund in August of 2008. That is the last gift that we have received from the City of Laverne, and the total amount that you have generously given to Montlow State is just over $160,000. So we just wanted to start off and say thank you for the generosity and the gifts that you have given the college. You were integral to that campus getting started about 15 years ago, so thank you very much. So where are we today? Just in the last 10 days, the Tennessee Higher Education Commission has announced that Montlow State is the top performing post-secondary institution among all colleges and universities in the college system in Tennessee. We are very proud of that. Our enrollment is almost 7,000 students. 39.2% of all students that attend Montlow State come from Rutherford County. That's actually 2,938 students come from Rutherford County. Of Laverne students, we have had 440 students between 2013 and 2018 have walked through the halls of Montlow State and received a certificate or diploma. Enrollment at our Smyrna campus has grown by 12%, by a rate of 12% for more than the last 10 years. And because of that tremendous growth, a lot of that has been fueled by the Tennessee Promise, which came out in 2014. We now have a space deficit of about 100,000 square feet that we are short of the space that we need to educate the students. So just to tell you a little bit more about how the City of Laverne and Montlow State partner together, this is some information on your high school students. So currently there are 335 Laverne high school students enrolled in dual enrollment classes at Montlow State. So that's 335 students, high school students, that are getting a collegiate experience today. This spring, 155 students will graduate from Laverne High School having taken dual enrollment classes at Montlow. This time in a year, we will have 48 students from Laverne High School graduate in the first cohort to receive their associate's degree while they are also getting their diploma from high school. We are very excited about that. And of all the high schools in Rutherford County, Laverne High School is the only high school that actually brings students to Montlow's Smyrna campus for classes. So, okay, we have a space issue. There is no room at the inn, in the inn. So what you can see here are some graphs just kind of indicating what our space needs are. In 2015, we only had 45% of the recommended space that we needed for our students. In 2016, actually that number began to decrease. We only had 38% of the amount of space that we needed to educate our students, as recommended by the Tennessee Higher Education Commission. They recommend that we allot 50 square feet per student for the proper educational space. So what are we doing to address this space issue? We are currently building an 80,000 square foot, 3-story building on our Smyrna campus. It is the building that is in the center of the picture that you see before you. These are actually hot off the press, April 9th aerial views of our Smyrna campus. So if you turn to the next page, you can actually see a breakdown of the project cost. So the total cost to build this 80,000 square foot building is $28 million. The state pays for 90% of that cost, but we do have a requirement from THEC to provide a 10% match for the total project cost. And here you can see a breakdown of all the entities that have given to date. The Rutherford County Commission, a multi-year pledge, then IDB, a multi-year pledge. We have an anonymous gift that is a matching gift in the amount of $400,000. We have reserve funds left over from when the Mary Lou Apple building was built. That is the second building on our Smyrna campus. The Montlow College Foundation gave a one-time gift of $200,000. The town of Smyrna has made some in-kind contributions. We have some event fundraising. 3 years ago, we introduced a barbecue just to have a friend-raising and a fundraising event for this building. The Clayton Foundation has made a multi-year pledge, and at the end of last year, the John D. Floyd Foundation made a one-time gift of $10,000. So this leaves us with $922,000 still left to raise to reach our 10% match of $2.8 million. So we are here tonight to ask if the City of Laverne would consider making a donation to the Montlow College Foundation to benefit Montlow State of $25,000. A gift at this level would come with a naming opportunity. On the pages that follow, you can actually see the key of how we have identified naming opportunities. A classroom we have identified as a $25,000 naming opportunity. The 3 pages that follow, you can see on our second and third floor are where we have our classroom space. So if this is a gift that the City of Laverne decided to make, you would have the opportunity, if you chose, to name one of these classrooms, to say it has been given by the City of Laverne. And I also just wanted to mention that if this is something, which hopefully you will decide to do, that we would certainly be amenable to this gift being paid over a 2-year period. So 12.5 in 1 year and then 12.5 in the second year. Also in your brochure, in your pamphlet here, I've just included the original letter from our president, Dr. Michael L. Torrance, who is so sorry that he could not be here with you this evening. He is out of town on college business. His original request letter to Bruce. I have also included here just a few summary pages of our most recent audited financials, and I do have an entire copy of the audit financials to leave behind if anybody would like that. And then the original documents on the 501c3 tax filing for the Montlow College Foundation. So can I answer any questions?
You have came with the guns loaded.
We wanted to be prepared.
I'm trying to think of a question to ask you. It's like there's no way I'm letting her out of here.
I'm ready.
Wow, that's really impressive. So my son is a student at Laverne. He's a junior.
Okay, great.
And he will be attending your college.
Wonderful.
So he's doing the senior. As a senior, he's going to be attending.
Is he doing dual enrollment?
Yeah, the dual enrollment.
Great. That's wonderful. Yeah.
So it's pretty exciting.
My son graduated from Motlow with a associate's. I got just a question about, it says Laverne High School is the only high school to bring students to Motlow's Smyrna campus for class?
We are providing dual enrollment classes at other high schools, but that's where we send the teacher to the high school. So Laverne actually has a bus and they bring their students to our campus. So they're on our campus in the morning. So these students, as high school students, are getting that full immersion collegiate experience. They're bringing them to our campus. And then the afternoon, if they're taking dual enrollment classes, we actually send a professor to,
Okay,
but yeah, we have dual enrollment classes
I
going
guess
on.
I misunderstood it. I thought that it meant that nobody that lives in Smyrna or anything in Rutherford County was going to Motlow.
Oh, no. I just meant like, no, I just meant as high school students.
I
We
got you.
have, yeah, so.
So I have a question for Bruce. With our children attending the college, there's nothing wrong with us voting on things like this.
I don't believe so, no.
I mean, because okay, I just want to make sure. I don't know what all the rules. I don't want someone to say that the kid's getting a kickback because I'm on the board.
Oh, yeah. No.
Vice Mayor Brown, I think you can probably speak better than anybody here on
She's a
Motlow.
graduate. That's true.
Yes, I would like the opportunity to do so. I went to Motlow. I am a proud alum. I am thrilled with the experience that I had there. Motlow was really good to me. And I mean, literally, I had professors that met me during spring break to help me with studies after hours, because I have a job. And they did that free of charge, willing to do that. I think they would do that for any student if they, you reached out to them. But what I want to say is adults are going back to school too. So it's not just our high school students. I obviously have been out of high school just a few minutes, and I went back to college as an adult, a single mom of a child, and I will tell you that Motlow changed our world. So I encourage the adults out there too. Don't miss your opportunity. You still have Tennessee Reconnect. You can get into Motlow.
That's right. Tuition free.
Tuition free. I mean, it's the bottom dollar can be paid for you. So I just encourage you to look into that if you haven't already. But yes, Motlow is a beautiful thing that has changed not just my life, my son's life, but it's also impacting the rest of my family because now my sister is scheduled to graduate in December. I have a niece that's going as well. She'll graduate not this December, but the following December. It is changing our family tree, and it will change Laverne too. I mean, I just can't say enough about it. How much it matters. It truly does.
That's awesome. Thank you, Melissa. That's great. We believe that education has the power to change people's lives and to change their lives for generations, and you're an example of that. And the numbers are in, and educational attainment in Rutherford County is on the rise. And so what that translates into for everybody is economic growth and development. So obviously we believe in the power of education.
So Phyllis, with the 25,000, the two increments of 12.5, it goes in. So that's the 2019 and 2020.
And then 2020, 21.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I can put that in writing if you would like to see
Oh,
that.
no,
But we're very amenable to
Yeah.
a 2-year.
I'm just trying to learn how this whole budget thing is
Yeah.
a lot of numbers.
Great.
Okay.
All right, great
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we have Carpe Artista. Ron?
I have some propaganda as well, so.
Right. Got some big shoes to fill coming behind her.
Well, yes, and I know Lane, we're in Rotary together, so, and I appreciate all that she does. There's a brochure there and an impact sheet for each one of you, just to kind of give you some idea. My name's Ron Alley. I'm the CEO and the founder. I have the privilege or the curse, depending on what you look at it as, of being the founder of Carpe Artista, the arts organization. Carpe Artista is Latin for seize the arts, and we are an 8-year-old arts education and community development through the arts nonprofit. We're located in the historic part of Smyrna in the Depot District. There is where we're located. We are, as I said, started 8 years ago and got our start in that area with that development, but very quickly, and it's always been our intention to become the go-to and push organization for the development of the arts for the north part of Rutherford County. We've been involved with also just recently the development of an all-county arts commission that's beginning to get its start. And Susan Gully, our COO, and myself have been on the guiding council to get that going. So you're going to be hearing more about that. It's called Rutherford Arts Alliance, which is an arts organization focused on trying to develop the arts and the economic impact of the arts for our whole county. We do two things, as I said: arts education. So we do lessons in music and visual art and theater. Currently, we're hoping to expand. We'll actually do some culinary arts as well. Hoping to expand to a lot of other things as our organization grows. We do camps primarily, and the monies that I'm requesting here to request will primarily help us with our summer camp programs. Summer camp programs in the arts have been award-winning for about 6 years with Ruthie Awards and some things like that. So they've been a favorite of a lot of folks. They also reach into Laverne very heavily. Our instructors for our theater camp particularly are your instructors at Roy Waldron here in Laverne, and we reciprocate with them in helping to support their theater program there at Roy Waldron. As a matter of fact, with a lot of technical support, and we provide additional equipment and things like that when they're in need of that. Why the arts benefit our kids? There are numerous empirical studies that show that arts instruction, especially early on for children, show development of higher levels of critical thinking across all other subjects that extends to broader thinking for them. The arts also, you see the evidence in children in their self-esteem growth, public speaking skills, organizational skills, and any number of other things that you'll see them developing in through their participation in the arts. There are statistics from Americans for the Arts that show low-income students are 5 times more likely to graduate when they receive arts instruction. And students who receive 4 years of art education average 100 points higher on their SAT scores. So some statistics that show the benefits of the arts to our communities and to the students specifically. There are 2 studies, a 1999 study and a 2005 study, that shows that community-based arts organizations and initiatives show significant contributions to reduction in truancy and in teen pregnancy and drug abuse and a number of other issues that face our communities. Thus the benefits of education to our communities and to our students. On the opposite side, on the other side, the community development side, the 2017 Arts and Economic Development Study that was just recently released this past year in 2017 shows a $31.2 million annual impact on the economy of Rutherford County alone through our arts nonprofits and cultural nonprofits. So that is actually would take, that's in 1 year, that impact. It would take our TSSAA tournaments 5 years to equal that 1 year of economic impact for our county. One of the things that all of the north part of Rutherford County finds our residents leaving for is entertainment. So we don't have as much to offer our residents with entertainment, and that's one of the things that our organization is really interested in trying to help provide for the north part of Rutherford County as we move into some other things that that we do with some. We have some directions for a major music festival here in the north part of Rutherford County. We're working with the Rutherford County CVB board to begin development of some of those things as well. We also have, speaking of Motlow, we also have an advanced training program for high school juniors and seniors that is a leadership development program for creatives. And it teaches them not only their skill development, but character development, entrepreneurship, marketing skills, budget planning, all of the tools that artists need to potentially move into industry and have an impact on our industry. Just had a confirmation from Dr. Torrance, actually, that we're moving forward to have that as a dual enrollment program with Motlow coming this fall. So we're excited about those kind of things that we have to offer our community. So that's a little bit about who we are, what we do, how we feel like we can, through our relationships, and you see on the bottom of that impact, the organizations that we have partnerships with. A lot of those are schools, and Laverne High School is one of them. Roy Waldron is one of them. There are some other schools that are in Laverne that we've helped to support the instructors in those schools just through different means throughout our existence. So, entertain questions.
Well, I'll go ahead and just throw this out there, is that the arts absolutely should be celebrated in Laverne and Rutherford County. I mean, we've got top quality drama presentation with Roy Waldron. I mean, every year that's just
got a
amazing.
great program going there. Yeah.
We just had a young lady win a national competition here in Laverne for some photography artwork. And then I know of at least one other gentleman here who lives here, and that's what he does for his living now. He fully supported just doing art, oils, paint, all of it.
And we certainly want to see how we can help build that arts ecosystem that creates a place where artists want to come and live in the north part of Rutherford County. They want to locate here and bring their economic impact, but bring that quality of life for the north part of Rutherford County.
And it impacts on something we've been hearing all night, whether it's, children, drugs, abuse, education. This impacts all of it.
Absolutely. It actually, in some ways, helps prevention of some of the things that do affect our community.
So with your request for the $11,500, is this something that, so is that for supplies or?
It's for supplies, and it's for also
Operations?
professional instructors.
Okay.
Also, we believe in high quality instruction, and we want to try and bring as high quality as we can to our camps to impact the students.
Is it something that you may or may not in the future that you could come to our senior center or something like that?
Sure.
Is that
Yeah.
something?
there's also all kinds of possibilities.
Okay.
We're looking at ways of expanding beyond where we are and reaching actually into even the southern parts of Rutherford County. So our organization our goal is to train up young artists with character and calling and passion for making a difference in our culture. That more than just making a big name for themselves or making a lot of money for themselves, but to go and make a difference in our culture.
I was reading your endorsement here from our sister city, Smyrna. She's one of the most respected people in the community, in the county probably. You know, one of the folks. So that's a pretty personal endorsement on your group from Mayor Reed. So Smyrna contributes to your firm?
They do, not directly, but they do through support with a lot of the programming that we do. We help to provide, currently help to provide the street fairs and things that happen in the Depot District. And the town provides the police and fire support.
The renovation in that district is amazing.
And we've been leading the way with a lot of the ideas and those kind of things with the murals in that area.
Right.
And
that's what I was going to ask next. Did you play a part in that?
Murals and the public art that's been happening, and actually some of our students, our advanced training students, for some of the new park development that's happening there, have developed ideas that have been presented to the town, and some of them are going to be implemented in the future. So
our goal under the mayor is to not rebrand our city, but beautify our city.
Absolutely.
So this may be something, we reach out to you down the road. And
we would love to have the opportunity to
say, hey, we need a little color out here.
Sure.
So you have someone that does paint those murals?
There are a number of artists in the community actually
I
who
thought
do that.
you might have kids that volunteered
We have one that was painted specifically by one artist, and then we have one that actually has been on a lot of the chambers blogs here just recently that was done by the community. So we love bringing those kind of community involvement things that cause the community to have buy-in and feel ownership for that public art.
Are you a 501c3?
We are.
And do you have both paid and volunteer staff?
We do.
Okay. All right.
We rely on our volunteer force very heavily. As a matter of fact, a lot of my time's still volunteer.
Yeah.
So,
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
all right, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
I think the last two are with Chief Walker. Tennessee Public Safety Network, Tennessee Association of Chief of Police.
For the last few years, we've also included funding from the drug fund account itself, based on the AG's opinion of the 501c3, where it is involving in some form or fashion law enforcement as whatever. The Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police has a educational fund, and there was a specific request several years ago for an AG's opinion, could funds from the drug fund that are there be utilized to help fund educating members of the Chiefs Association, including here at Laverne, we have all 5 lieutenants that are members of TACP, and there are a couple of sergeants that are as well. They provide training for leadership, ethics, integrity, et cetera, et cetera. There are nationally recognized speakers on almost any and every topic you can imagine that we have. And that's where, to be honest with you, for the most part, all of my in-service training hours come from on an annual basis. That's holds true for the overwhelming majority of the chiefs in the state. And the two line items there, if you see, they're showing 4 and 5. That's actually 45 and 45 split equally between those two. At one point in time, it was that, but we did this past year, it was supposed to have been 45 and 45. And we have the information coming on everything for you from TACP concerning their financials, et cetera. Maggie Duncan, the executive director, God bless her, has had her hands full this year. She is she's the executive director. She's non-sworn. She's been there about 20 years almost now. And she spends the better part of her life at Legislative Plaza this time of year watching the various bills that impact what we do, and is very well established there as someone who is very good to go to for information concerning a whole lot of the issues we have. And Maggie, unfortunately, was down there early this morning for a meeting, and then this afternoon, tonight, because the committees are really pushing through like crazy, especially judiciary committees, transportation, et cetera. And then the Tennessee Public Safety Network is, and I will disclose that I'm a member of 5 different committees with TACP, and then with Tennessee Public Safety Network, I am a member of the board of directors, non-paid. Everything is a 501c3. In Tennessee, about 30 years ago, Tennessee was a leading state in providing protection for public safety personnel when it comes to dealing with critical incident stress management, doing debriefings, et cetera. There have been several occasions since I came to the police department here where we have had joint debriefings and diffusings.
There's a bill on the floor now for the families of
Yes.
emergency personnel.
Yes.
I've been following
But
it.
TPSN, when it was established and it was actually voted on initially for the creation of this 501c3 group, as long as there is a mental health professional available, we use volunteer peers who are trained to assist with debriefings. And as long as there's one mental health professional there, everything is confidential. You see, if a school teacher has PTSD or emotional issues, they don't necessarily have to worry about losing their job as a law enforcement officer, as a firefighter, as a paramedic,
Right.
AEMT, et cetera. You can lose your certification simply because you got to pass, and that's okay. We have those testings done. We have done a couple since I've been here, but from those critical incidents that are out there, it's better to deal with them up front, and that's why we train peers. And that training comes from folks that have been there a long time, been there and done that, mental health professionals who work with us on a regular basis. As a matter of fact, one of them is very much involved with Child Advocacy Center here. She happens to be another funeral home kid like I was, from Cleveland, Tennessee originally. And a little place over there on Thompson Lane, just north of Murfreesboro Road, is where their facility is. Kim Rush is her name. We have several across this state. I have been all across this state because I was a benefactor. And Been there, done that, seen a lot of things in my lifetime as an EMT, a volunteer firefighter, growing up in the funeral home, and then as a cop for 43 plus years now. And I think folks that are in this room could tell you it's very much worthwhile. They actually train for a week, and we have peers who go down who many times all it takes is diffusing, just sitting and talking, so that they understand, been there, done that. And as a result of the services that are provided that are not a cost to agencies, or not a cost to the individuals who may be diffused or debriefed. The last one I had was Chattanooga, when the young officer was run over by the hit-and-run driver that was a drunk, she was a drunk postmaster from Saudi Daisy that drove off and left him laying in the middle of the road. That was my second trip to Chattanooga in about a year and a half. I've been to Dixon County. I've been to West Tennessee. I've been Upper East Tennessee. I've been all across this state for debriefings and helping with them. And it's a nonprofit as well. And Rosie Killian has the office in Cookville. And I called Rosie this morning. It was late Thursday afternoon. It was a little late. Tried to get a hold of Rosie and Maggie both. And I called both of them this morning. Rosie had a grandchild she was caring for today. I was going to try to get to the office and email it to me before the meeting, and I didn't get it. So it's coming too. But we've always had those, and this is something that's been there for a while. That too. Both of these are just like CAC. They're coming out of drug fund, not general fund. And I'd ask you to support those again this year. Any questions?
Not for me. You pretty much laid the story out there.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief.
Where's Cleveland, Tennessee? Never mind, Chief. I'm just not.
I-75, I-75 just north of the Hamilton-Bradley County line.
Between Chattanooga and Knoxville.
Actually, about halfway between Chattanooga and Athens.
My son played baseball there.
Yes.
He played for Cleveland.
At Cleveland State, yeah.
So we've gone through a lot with the government groups as well as the nonprofits. As far as suggestions, recommendations, email those over to Phyllis, and we will get together on those for the budget. We're going to go through capital tomorrow night, just because we're already past 9 o'clock. So we will save capital for tomorrow. With that, we'll meet 6 o'clock tomorrow, or 6:30 tomorrow.
6:30 tomorrow?
Yes. Go through the capital. Call this meeting adjourned.